in between these 4 events, did you see Boris socially?
Sure.
How?
I mean, it wasn't like a regular thing. I wouldn't say, weekly, or it was more like, what are you doing? Would you like to have lunch? And then we had lunch, and that, and then it was, when the Google Hangout came out, he's like, I'd like to be able to talk to you directly. We tried having drinks out in public or having lunch. It just became too much of a mob show. So I was like, look, you just got to come to my office. I don't have time to play paparazzi and selfies with you. You can come directly to me. And my Shoreditch office was literally on his way home or on his way to any number of activities.
Your office was where? I mean, it was in Shoreditch, but it was in your flat, right?
Yes, yeah. Which is very common for most startups.
OK.
Right, and where was Boris living at the time? Because I'm trying to work out how it was on his way home.
He lived right next to Angel. So many times he would come up Bishopsgate, and Bishopsgate went into Shoreditch High Street, and it was an easy
How many times
stop.
did he visit your home?
Well, you mean my office?
Yes, your office.
My office had 1,200 square feet, and there were 3 little bedrooms. There was plenty of office space for him to come visit, in where he did come visit. And I've been asked this so many times. I'm not really sure how many times, but it's never like he stayed at any great length. Right? He was always late, and then I would say something about him being late, and he'd say, well, should I not have come at all? And then I was like, OK, well, you're here, so you've got 5 minutes. Let's talk.
But how many times roughly are we talking? 10, 20, 50? What would you say?
I mean, a handful.
What's a handful, Jennifer?
A handful over a few years? I mean, I don't really know. And it wasn't like he always came to my flat. Sometimes we would meet, out in public. I preferred it. I didn't like it because it always became, a spectacle. Have you ever gone anywhere public with Boris?
Right, but I mean, if the London mayor comes to your home, I mean, you're going to remember roughly how many times. I mean, it's 5, it's 10, it's 20, I mean, roughly. You're a smart lady. You know the answer.
5? 5 times?
5 times.
10 times? I mean,
10 times?
I mean,
it just
a
doubled.
handful of times.
Right, but you get my point. You just doubled it literally in 2 seconds. So how many is it?
I know, but it's not like I'm sitting here guessing. I mean, OK, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times. 7 times. I mean, I don't know. I have not sat here and counted. I told you a handful of times. We'll say 5.
Did you know at the time that he was married?
I had read about that in the news. I didn't have any discussion with him about it.
Did you feel that it was normal behaviour for the London mayor, the married London mayor, to come to your home in Shoreditch on a regular basis? I mean, to be honest, did you think that was normal?
You mean, did I think it was normal that he came to my office like many other tech professionals, government officials did? No, I didn't think it was awkward at all.
You have a pole, famously, in your home there in Shoreditch. What happens with that pole?
That I do. S-Factor classes were quite the rage, and I love core strength, so I tried it out. It was also one of those things when I started when I was doing my startup, we would rent out on Airbnb, and I had such a great open space that it was a perfect conversation starter for most people. They like to have drinks and they dance around the pole.
Did you ever use the pole when Boris was there?
Oh, God. No.
It's the kind of thing he'd love. Come on, it's the kind of thing he'd love, that.
All men do, but no. If anything, we'd always have a laugh about it. If anything, I asked him.
And
have a go.
Boris didn't try and use it for a laugh.
I'm never going to tell you that.
Oh!
That's not exactly a categoric denial, is it, Miss Arcuri?
I'm just having a little fun. The poll was just a simple, fun thing. It was the thing that everybody. I threw it a fantastic Halloween party. I lined it like red carpet, like Hollywood style, and I put my logo plastered across the entire backdrop of the. So the entire pictures and all the social media action had my logo plastered everywhere. I love how the press said that I dressed up in a Halloween costume for the Innotech Summit. That was a Halloween party.
But just to clarify, Boris
and
never...
And the idea was just...
Did you ever show Boris the poll? Did you ever discuss it with him?
The poll sat in the living room. Yes, he saw the poll. No, I did not have at-length discussions about pole dancing. I made a joke once if he wanted, I could show him a few things, but that was about it. There was nothing, like I asked him to, like I just said, I asked him to have a go, and it was a laugh, and that's it.
And did he have a go?
Can you imagine Boris Johnson on a pole?
Yeah,
Yes, we
I can.
can.
Yeah, very much
come
so.
on.
Yeah, yeah.
We just want the evidence.
When you asked him if he did he get up and have a try or not?
No, he sat down with his tea and started muttering. I don't know.
Jennifer, I've got to ask you the obvious question, which is this, according to all the
Sure.
reports in the papers, you told at least 4 or 5 people independently that you'd had an affair with Boris Johnson. Is that true? Did you have an affair with Boris Johnson? And the only significance of the question is obviously because you know there have been suggestions of impropriety on the professional side which make this relevant as a question. So just to clear this up, did you have an affair with Boris Johnson?
First of all, those people are not my friends. These are insinuations and third-party hearsay. And no, I wouldn't be going around blabbing to a bunch of people at my school. That's just completely preposterous. And secondly, would you like me to ask about your sex life? Because I thought about this a lot. When the story broke, of course, the first initial reaction is to, deny everything and to come out, making sure you're side. But then when I saw the way I'm objectified and dragged through the street, or through the press with all these kind of misquotes and misinterpretations of who I am, I can't believe that if I had looked a different way or if I was a man, I wouldn't be objectified
Jennifer,
this way.
I completely
So it's because
Jennifer,
of that reason?
Yeah. I understand why you would react like that. And of course, questions about your private life, your personal life and your sex life are extremely awkward and may appear extremely personal.
Yeah.
The point about this situation is that we're talking about a relationship with a man who is in a position of enormous power and influence, and whether he should have declared an interest if he had a relationship with you. So it becomes much more of a matter of public interest, your own personal relationship with Boris Johnson. And it's nothing to do with the way you look or who you are or objectifying you. It's a matter of politics and influence. And that's why the question is pertinent and as awkward as it is. So we have to ask again, clearly there was chemistry, clearly there was a connection. Boris Johnson is visiting your office, which is also where you live. Did that relationship develop into an intimate relationship?
I think we're forgetting that Boris is extremely personable, and it wasn't like he singled me out. He is there to, talk to anybody who gets in his face enough, and he was always a really good friend. And I think it's quite unfortunate that it becomes that a good friend who has now been, now I'm dragged into the middle of this horrific scandal, and the answer that I'm going to give is now going to be weaponized against this man. It's really categorically no one's business what private life we had or didn't have, and categorically more important, Boris never ever gave me favoritism. Never once did I ask him for a favor. Never once did he write a letter of recommendation for me. He didn't know about my asking to go to trips. He only knew me as an extremely passionate entrepreneur of the London tech scene.
Jennifer, we don't want to flog this part of it because we've got to get to the more serious allegations. But just to put on the record, did you ever have any intimate relationship with Boris Johnson? Yes or no?
And because the press have made me this objectified ex-model pole dancer, I really am not going to answer that question.
So you won't deny it?
I'm sorry. I'm not going to be putting myself in a position for you to weaponize my answer.
No, I get it.
I'm being used as a pawn. This
I don't want to
entire
use you.
thing is
I don't want to use you
crazy
as.
charade.
I don't want to use you as a weapon or a pawn or anything. It's simply that obviously the answer to that question is clearly relevant to the other questions we're going to ask you about the alleged impropriety, because the nature of your relationship is actually a matter of public interest.
It's not. It's not. Categorically, Boris had nothing to do with all my other achievements. Literally, someone has written down every single thing I've done in London and found a way to drive back to Boris.
Okay, well,
we're going to
come.
crap.
Jennifer,
this is why I am not answering this question.
We're going to take a short break, and listen, I respect your right. You can answer every question any way you see fit. But just for the record, you're not denying it.
I'm not answering. That's my record.
Okay. We'll
so
take
please
a short.
Don't misuse my words like everyone else.
No, I'm going to use your words are coming out of your own mouth on
live
national
on television. That's the benefit.
There can be no distorting them. Everyone can hear what they can hear, and obviously you could shut down all that speculation by saying simply, "It's not true. I never had any intimate relationship with Boris Johnson." You could do that. You've chosen not to. I respect that.